Kakabhushundi arrived under the banyan tree and found Garuda and the other birds seated in silence. After a mental invocation to Shri Ram, he launched into his story. Raja Dashrath confided his sorrow at not having a son to his guru, Rishi Vashisht. The Rishi advised the king to organize a special yajna called the Putra Kameshti Yajna. It is a sacred ritual performed for begetting a child, in this case a son, because only a son could ascend the throne. Preparations were made, a big fire was lit, and offerings were poured into it. Suddenly, Agni Devta, the deity of fire, manifested before all present and loudly declared that the king's wish would indeed be granted. He offered the king some payasam or kheer as prasad and asked him to distribute it to his 3 queens. The king gave half the payasam to Kausalya, for she was the eldest queen. The remaining half was divided into 2 portions. One of these was given to Kaikeyi. The remaining 3rd portion was then again divided into 2. Each half was then lovingly offered by Kausalya and Kaikeyi to Sumitra. The queens became pregnant. 9 months passed, and then the much-awaited day arrived. Bhagwan chose to manifest on the 9th day of the Chaitra month of the Hindu calendar, that is about mid-March to mid-April. The number 9 is considered a perfect and complete number as it represents the end of a cycle in the decimal system. He chose the Chaitra month because the weather at this time is ideal, neither cold nor hot. It was not just the citizens of Ayodhya who prepared for this great event. All of creation joined in with enthusiasm. Vayu, the wind devta, ensured that a gentle, balmy breeze was blowing. The trees bedecked themselves festively with flowers. The precious gems hidden deep in the mountains revealed themselves in full splendor in honor of Bhagwan's arrival. The rivers seemed to flow with nectar instead of mere water. The devtas in the heavens rained down flowers, while the beat of drums resounded from the skies. The celestial beings were celebrating because Bhagwan, who is without form and attributes, who is all-pervasive and the source of everything and everyone, was going to assume the form of a man. The first child was born to Kausalya at midday when the sun was at its zenith. Bhagwan chose this moment because he was taking birth in the solar dynasty. Soon after, the second queen, Kaikeyi, also gave birth to a son. And almost immediately after, news arrived that the 3rd queen, Sumitra, had delivered twin boys. Joy overflowed in the whole city. But then, later in the day, a very strange thing happened. When it was time for night to come, it simply did not get dark. You see, said Kakabhushundi, Surya Devta felt so happy the moment the first child was born that he forgot to move forward. His chariot came to a halt at that very spot and remained there for a whole month. As a result, daylight prevailed in the city for 30 days. People were so ecstatic celebrating that they did not even notice. They had lost all track of time the way we do while watching, reading, or listening to something that fascinates us. After a few days, the Namkaran or naming ceremony of the four princes was performed by Guru Vashisht. The eldest son was called Ram, which means one who is ever blissful and who brings joy and comfort to all. The second was named Bharat, which means one who nourishes and sustains the whole universe. And of course, nourishment and sustenance can only be inspired by love and devotion. The twins were named Lakshman and Shatrughan. Lakshman means one who is endowed with noble virtues, while Shatrughan means one who destroys his enemies. And as we all know, the greatest enemy is our own ego. Then Kakabhushundi said something that filled everyone with wonder. He said, when Shri Ram was born, I visited Ayodhya along with Lord Shiva to witness the celebrations. We disguised ourselves as men. Lord Shiva pretended to be an eminent astrologer, while I posed as his disciple. We were able to gain audience with the king because Raja Dashrath was keen to know the future of his son. Lord Shiva took the baby's hand and went into instant samadhi. After a while, coming round, he announced that it was not possible to see the future of this child, because it was the child himself who would determine the future of the whole world. Kakabhushundi then said something even more amazing. I have witnessed the birth of Shri Ram many times, he said, because the Ram avatar does not happen just once. It takes place in every kalpa or cosmic cycle, and I have been around for several kalpas. Thus, every time Shri Ram took avatar in Ayodhya, I would arrive in the city, usually in the form of a crow. As a crow, I had the freedom to go anywhere. I would fly alongside the little Ram wherever he toddled. I would pick up and eat the morsels of food that fell from his little hand, and thus experience the greatest of joy. I would remain in Ayodhya until Ram attained the age of 5, and then I would return here to Meru Parvat. At this point, a perky little parrot interrupted and asked, "Why 5 years?" "Because," said Kakabhushundi, "the form of Ram that I worship and love most of all is that of the child Ram, known as Balaram." Then, continuing with his story, Kakabhushundi said, "What was striking about the 4 sons of Raja Dashrath," he said, "was that Ram and Bharat both had lovely dark complexions like the rain-bearing clouds, while Lakshman and Shatrughan were fair. From a very tender age, Lakshman always stuck to Ram, while Shatrughan and Bharat also formed a duo. In each case, the fair complexion of one brother offset the allure and charm of the dark complexioned one, and vice versa. And a deep bond of love united the 4 brothers. There was never any rivalry or jealousy between them. When the princes grew older, the Yajñopavit, or the sacred thread ceremony, was performed, and with that the 4 brothers were initiated into student life at the Gurukul of Rishi Vashisht. Even though Shri Ram was the manifestation of Bhagwan and did not need any education, when he assumed human form, he faithfully followed dharma. And the dharma of a young child is to be an obedient son or daughter and a devoted student. But now night was falling and the story session had to end. With great reluctance, the birds bowed down to Kakabhushundi and flew off for the night.